making a hair bun maker and eating my breakfast. So for the most part, you will not be seeing my face for most of this video. So let's get started. All right. It's stable. All right. So typically, this is an order I received from my Etsy store. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. And I don't have specific measurements, so don't ask. I've made these for so long now that I know which way or how to cut them. And I'm just going to take a similar approach here and see. Actually, what I'll do is I'll set that aside and use this for this side. Because they're small, I don't need the full height, which is why I'm doing it this way. And then I will use, I set these aside to put in my thing called my poof. A little big, so I'm going to adjust that. I'll measure from here because it's easier to cut from here. And I will cut this way. It's still going to be a little big, so I'll cut a little more. If you're wondering, I'm actually using the lines on my cutting board for measurements. And let's come over to my sewing machine. And I have these 3 done. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'm primarily making satin hair buns. So I'm just going to set these aside here. And I'm eating my breakfast, which is comprised of eggs, sausage, spinach, and ground beef. So I'll probably have a breakfast, but it's needed. And I'm about to run out of bobbin anyway, so stay with me. I'm preloaded. I'm not too worried. I'm gonna need you guys closer, and I will adjust. There we go. Ask questions if you have them. Otherwise, it's just gonna be quiet sewing. Well, thanks for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone who interacts. Like I said, my bobbin's about to run out. Will it get me through? Let's see. No, it will not. This is like man against the versus machine. Let's see. Oh wow, it did get me through. Look at that. Ho ho. I'm always like eager to see, and it literally just didn't do the back stitch, which is fine. And it's all good because I have pre-wound. Well, as an oh no, I don't have any pre-wound bobbins. These are the colors I have, so you're gonna join me as I wind my bobbin. Which, it's not hard. Just take this out I posted a video a few weeks ago about how to take out your thread. Actually, a few days ago, not weeks now. How to take out your thread from your sewing machine. Is that the hole? No, it's not. If you're not sure how to do that, and then I'm just doing this. If you want to see a video of how to roll the bobbin, let me know. But it doesn't take much time at all. I do like to hold it because sometimes I notice that it primarily does it at the bottom if I don't hold it. So I try to direct it so that it kind of is a little more even. I'm not adjusting the see what I'm saying? I'm not adjusting the tension. I'm just trying to direct it a little bit so that it's more even. And see, that didn't take too long, did it? It's almost done. Now I'm just going to rethread my machine. Which again doesn't take long at all. And drop my top loading bobbin. If you don't know what a top loading bobbin is, this is it. Basically, it means you load your bobbin from the top. Some machines get it from the side. My machine does it from the top. So, and then we'll go back. I want to make sure that this doesn't come apart. So I am going to sew over where I was. So you get 2 lessons. I'll cut that later. Next is, these are going to be for the smaller hair buns. Hair buns. So, because I hate waste, what I do is I make satin hair bonnets, and these are the fabrics that are left over from when I make those. So it actually is a great way to save and not waste. And you know, typically people would toss these out, but there's no need to toss it because it has a second use, which I will be doing right now. So bun makers do require both a sewing machine and hand sewing. I do offer teaching classes for hand sewing. And like I said, if you're just joining me, welcome. Just as an FYI, I'm also eating my breakfast. There you go. It's a protein-rich breakfast. I'm done with my sewing machine. I am now going to just take out the excess thread. Oopsie. And level things up a little bit. Okay. Doing that for all 3. I know some people don't necessarily care for sewing mats with the grids and everything. Let me tell you, I swear by these. Okay, I thoroughly swear by these with the grids, and not just the inch grid because this is a full inch, but a 1/4 inches, because at some point you get tired of always having to oh, I still have a loose thread here, and I'm going to use this as a pair of scissors, so I'll just put it aside. Bring out your tape measure. So this here is going to be for the larger one, and these 2 smaller ones are going to be for this. And like I said, I swear by these, so I'm going to try to use this to level it up a little bit. So that's about 3/4. And because I've done this multiple times, again, another reason why I do the back stitch a little further in, because I know that I'm going to cut part of it. So hello, hello to those joining. Welcome, welcome. Yes, I know I need a new blade for my rotary cutter. It's not because I don't have a new blade. I actually do have lots of blades. I just am lazy to replace it. So they should be about the same size because they're going to be used for the smaller ones. And then this is going to be used for the larger one. That's why it's a little bigger. So now it's time to hand sew. I have my... Hey, there you are. I don't know if any sews who doesn't have a tin like this or whatever, but my tin has needles and all the other fun stuff. So I always have like a preloaded black thread, which I use since that's the one I primarily use. I do have preloaded brown too, but safety first. Close this once done. I have the black thread I'll be working with and a pair of scissors. Now let's make these. Put these closer so I can reach for them as I sew. So I'm just going to be taking you along because I will be sitting down. Like I said, I'm eating breakfast, which is the most important meal of the day. It's actually on the East Coast. It's almost noon. Yeah, it's almost noon. So let's see. Okay. Then okay on time. If you've never hand sewn, this is one that might not be so easy to follow and understand. But if you have questions and you're watching this at a later date, just leave me a note and I will do my best to answer. I find that sometimes I don't understand the questions people are asking. And I realize that's because, you know, if you're a beginner, you're not entirely sure how to ask a question. So if you can just reference the timestamp in the video, it's easier for me to look at that and try to figure out what it is you're trying to know. So for this, I'm just, so let me turn on a light so that it's easier to see. It's actually showing anything? Okay. For this, I'm just doing the first go around. And most of this is hand sewing. We're no longer going to use the machine because we are pretty much done with that part. I've been doing these for years. I've sold hundreds and hundreds of them. If you want to take a one-on-one class with me to make these, I sell them primarily on Etsy, but if you want to take a one-on-one class with me to know how to make these, let me know. Happy to teach. I mean, it's my time, so I'm not going to say it's free, it's free, but you can sign up using my page, isewithjoy.com, and I can walk you through it. And bonus is you may actually get to understand how to use a hand to hand sew rather. All right, so we've done the first part, and because these are usually double, and when I say double, they're double wrapped for sturdiness, and I get rid of any loose fibers to come off of it. Hello, hi, Silver Serbian, I'm not sure. All right, so I am going to line this. This is, again, you have to know how to sew to be able to do this. And once we've reached the part where I'm going to fold in, I use an invisible stitch to start this. Now I'm on the wrong side. I try to line things up so that it always looks uniform, both sides. And also the other thing is you have to be careful not to tug or sew the mesh. So as you can see, or if you're not sure, what I'm doing is I am using my finger to pull the fabric off of the mesh because I don't want the mesh to be pulled. And I'm leaving a little bit inside so that a little bit of fabric rather, which gives it a little more flexibility. So when you wonder why these are sold, what they're sold at, the primary reason is because it does require hand sewing and it requires solid understanding. So you're paying for time and material, not just a sewing machine. But like I said, I offer classes. If you're interested in taking one with me, I'll be happy to. Hello. Oh, what I said, it is a satin hair bun maker. So, hello. And that question was from Norma Gibson. Hi, Norma. It's a satin hair bun maker. So I think most of the people who buy these are people who do um, ballet or dancers, little girls who dance. It protects your hair strands. So similar to wearing a satin bonnet. And so this is what I mean. I use invisible stitches, so you're not seeing the stitches on the outside of it. Um, Dancers, I also use this like for professional look, going to work. There are weeks where I just don't want to do my hair. It adds a little bit of bulk. It makes it look a little more professional. And it has many uses. Wedding hair, I've had people request it in different colors. I do make it in blonde or browner color, dark brown if you have browner hair so that it matches a little better with your hair. I had someone request it in purple. Actually, I've sold quite a few of it in purple, which I was surprised about because I didn't think it would, people would want it in purple, but yeah, it's like a lilac type purple, like purple. If you go on my Etsy store or if you look on my site, printedbonnet.com, you'll see that the other lilac-y, lilac-y, I don't even know if that's a real word, color, but these are fun to make and I sell quite a few of them. This order has 3 different sizes, so I'm guessing either someone who wants to use 2 for 2 buns for little ones and then 1 for a bigger bun. Also great for fine hair. That's the other thing. If you have finer hair and you want to have it look a little, more bulky or more uh, fuller. That's the word I'm looking for. Fuller, thicker. This will add that to your hair. And because I offer it in multiple colors, you have the option to see it in different colors. So I'll get that. And I just adjust again. It's something that I've perfected over the years. I've been making these now for, if I have to guess, I would say a solid 8, 9 years. I sold a lot of them surprisingly during the pandemic. I didn't think people were doing their hair, especially since they were home, but I guess maybe a lot of people were just throwing their hair up in a bun, so it worked out better for them that way. But yeah, I'm almost done with this small one. I'm glad I started with a smaller one so you can see what it looks like. I have 2 others to make. One is slightly bigger, and like I said, I don't make it exactly when I do the cutting. I don't cut it at exactly the. It's a little thick. I pulled a thicker piece of fabric there. Exactly the width because I want to give it a little bit more allowance. And since I'm coming to the end of this, I am going to start stitching inside of this to kind of hide my end stitches and to finish this off. I made this actually last week and I hurt myself. I'll show you the little thing. For this project, I find that it's important to use a good size needle, not a huge one because you don't want to create holes in your fabric, but a good size works, and also good thread because otherwise you're going to end up with a lot of knotting over time, so you don't want to do that. And if you have questions about hand sewing, I'll be happy to also teach you. My availability is usually evenings, Friday afternoons, and on weekends. So to finish this off, this is just about done. Now to hide this, because if I cut it this way, you'll still see a part sticking out of it. So I'm just going to push it in here. Do it from there, pull it a little bit, cut as close as possible, and it's gone. Okay, so, and then once you turn it inside out, like I said, it's not the exact width, and the reason for that is because it gives a little more flexibility for the wearer when they put their hair in there. And this is what it looks like. I turn the stitches on the inside towards the inside so that this is it. A hair bun maker. It's satin and it protects your strands. So let me have another bite. And I don't want my food to get cold. Let me know if you have any questions. I primarily like sewing. I know they say don't talk and eat. I had an uncle when I was younger who used to he was like the food police. If you talk while you're eating, he'd like get really upset and yell at you. I don't understand why. Like, give me the opportunity to choke. I'm a kid after all. Guess he didn't want us to choke. Okay. Yay! I did that in one try. I counted whenever I'm able to do it the first time around. I feel like I've won something big because I'm just like, ooh, it could have taken longer, but yeah. So I know, you know, I take for granted that I've been sewing for years. So if you have any questions about this, it's one of those things where if you haven't really ever sewn, it might not translate as well for you. So when I'm sharing this, if you have questions, let me know. I use the raw end because to start this off, because it's not going to be seen, even if this were to come apart. I do hold it the first time around on the mesh. This is a mesh you can pick off of, you know, any website that sells mesh buns. I buy them in bulk, so and I buy them in multiple sizes and make these in multiple sizes. Ooh, my thread, my Kingdom Fur thread. 2 points if you know where that came from. Well, not the exact words, but why I just said that. I don't know. This generation is a little different, so people might not get that joke, but to me, it's funny. I still use it. It's from 500 years ago. Actually, is it 500? No, it's more than that. It's not the century. So, but if you like Shakespeare, you'll know where that came from. It was from which king? From one of Shakespeare's play, a horse, my kingdom for a horse. No, I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank. And this was one of my favorite Shakespeare plays growing up. Not growing up, but in college. Yeah. So if you do remember, put that in the chat. Let me know your literary prowess and how good you are. So why do I do this? It's because it keeps it from moving when I am doing the finishing stitches. And I do, for the first one and the last one, you notice that I did a few more stitches than I do when I go for the others. So don't care so much about tying that because, again, it's meant more to hold it to the mesh versus I think so. I just showed you two methods of knotting your needle if you're not really one that knows to do that. Oh yeah, so I was saying I hurt my finger last week while I was doing one of these. Look at that little thing. The needle pierced into my finger, and not the front of the needle, the back of the needle. I guess I was pushing it too hard. And don't come for me. I do have one of these right here. So why I chose to use my finger, still beyond me. I don't know. Thimble, that's what those are called, thimbles. But I don't know. And it was actually within working distance. That's the part that really got me. Like, it's literally right there next to me, and I still chose to hurt myself. You know how that goes. I'm trying to put this down a little bit so I can see if someone asks a question. It's easier for me to see. I think I'm only going to do these two during this time because I have other errands to run and other things I need to do today. I do kind of force these out because otherwise it will eventually get in my way. And I don't want it in my way. And then the last thing is getting this and folding it the right way so that the wearer doesn't have to suffer or try to figure out if things are not properly aligned. So let me know in the chat if you want to take a class with me. I can send you the sign up link. Hey, Aria. Is it Aria or Aria? Hello. Thank you for saying hello and engaging. I always love to hear from folks. Using an invisible stitch. One of those things you learn to master as you sew. I am from the home economic generation, home economics. So, and basically what that means is when I went to school, that was still being taught at school. So, you know, I feel bad because kids these days don't necessarily have that option. I did try to offer it or teach some kids in my kids' school. I think sewing is an important skill to have. When my husband, needs his pants hemmed, or when, my kids, I order something, it's too long, too short, or the waist is too wide or needs to be adjusted, it's important to know how to do these things. We ordered a pair of pajamas for one of my kids, and the buttons were already coming off, like literally after the first wash. I guess it wasn't properly put in. And she came in and she's like, Mom, can you just help me with this? I was like, sure. 10 minutes later, I had reinforced all 4 buttons. So while people, don't necessarily think about it, it saves me money, it saves me time. I could have ended up not being able to use those because, or she might not be able to enjoy her new pair of pajamas because the buttons wouldn't stay, but having this skill ensures that she can use it. I've bought shorts, summer shorts for them that were too short, and you can take it apart, rehem it, add something, a lace or something, or additional fabric at the bottom to fold it or cuff, create a cuff. And when you travel, I always travel with a sewing kit. Why? Because you just never know when you're going to need it. Last year, I was at work and my day job, that's when I'm off today. I was at work, and while I was working, I started feel like I sat down and I felt a rip. Now, it wasn't necessarily like the dress was too tight, but I didn't realize that the thread had been pulling all day. Thankfully, I did have Spanx on, so, it's not like anyone got to see anything, but I was very happy that I have this rule of thumb where I always travel with a sewing kit. All I did was went to the restroom, took off the dress, sewed it right back, and then, it was fine. You couldn't even tell that there was a rip on the back, like in the butt area. And then when I got home, I just used my machine to sew a straight stitch and reinforced it, and I was done, So hand sewing is an important skill, and while I understand why it's no longer an option, I feel like having a skill set that doesn't necessarily align with what everybody has is valued. It's a valuable one to have. So I am a huge advocate for learning non-conventional things. Part of the reason I'm going to finish this video shortly, and then go run the errands I had planned in mind is because I actually am going to be using. So again, I'm from the home economics generation where we use tools and learn these things. I'm going to Lowe's to pick up plywood. And the primary reason I'm doing that is because I want to create a riser for my embroidery machine. so that I can do things like sweatshirts and other shirts and bags without having to fold or struggle with it. So if, you know, if you take those classes, or if it's an option, I don't know if they still offer it, you know, in community colleges or in college, but if it's an option, I do recommend taking it. And while there are lots of videos out there, having a one-on-one and the ability to ask questions as you go is also important. You know, the other thing is I have family members who, as we continue to grow and they have kids, I knit and crochet different things. All my kids have a personalized item that I'm hoping that, you know, they will be able to pass on to the next generation. So being able to do something personalized that you can't just find commercially creates a family heirloom and just makes things feel a little more special. So yes, I'm an advocate for doing these things. And yeah, the one that I will say though, which my kids laugh at me, I'm not very good with selecting colors, like matching colors and what things work with what, you know, with what. So if, I mean, I'm thankful this is all black, okay? And I don't know if you can see, but I'm wearing all black. Like I am like not very good selecting colors. My even sometimes when I'm going to work and I, you know, there's a certain look I want to present, I will ask my daughter, and typically my youngest one, because she's very good with that kind of stuff and combinations. She can imagine things better than I can. But I will ask her, hey, do these colors work, or suggest a different color for me? And she'll just go in my closet and I'm like, I think you should wear this and this. It, you know, it shows this and that. And she's a kid, but you know, I trust her judgment. And usually she hasn't stared me wrong for as long as I've asked her. She would actually you know, tell me a color that works, and people usually compliments the colors together. So, and hopefully they're not complimenting me because I look like a clown. But yeah, I would say, excuse me, if I had a weakness about with things like this, I didn't necessarily get the artistic, as in, you know, artsy, excuse me, the version, combination, whatever gene, but I'm good at sewing, hand sewing, machine sewing, crocheting, knitting, and a little bit of carpentry work. I'm a jill of all trade. Yeah, I I enjoy doing these things, and it actually relaxes me. When I was planning my day today, my kids were like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "Things that relax me, man. Don't ask." So it's one of those things that you can just do it and not think about it. So finishing this up again. I'm gonna put my needle through. I'm looking for a softer area, not one that's feels heavier. And so it takes you away from the world. Okay, all the stressors and different things going on, you can just, you know, forget about it, and just, I'm gonna knot this so I don't forget. That way I can do the third one once I'm done here, and not think about it. So that, and that's it. So one is done, as is the second one. These are two smaller sizes. See, and I am going to go ahead and do the third one, but because I have to run an errand and I have appointments today, I will, can I start this? I'll start it, but I won't finish it. Um, and if, like I said, if you have questions or if you want to learn to sew with me, be sure to send me a message or leave me a comment on this video. I will be more than happy to show you and work with you. I offer classes. I offer one-on-one classes. And this is the problem. Once I start sewing, I want to keep sewing, but I have other things and life happens. I need to run to Lowe's before my appointment. So if you're not already doing so, like, share, subscribe, save, so that you can come back and watch this full video and see what I'm doing. And Happy New Year. Oh my gosh, I forgot to say that. Happy New Year. Um, and hope your year is filled with many blessings, and hope the year brings you joy and happiness and good stuff. So this part is done. This thread is not going to be enough to finish this up, so I will leave this for now. Take this thread off, and uh-oh, I thought I almost lost this. And end the video here. When I come back from my appointments, I will finish this off. Let me take off these loose fibers so that I can use just start off and finish this off. I'm not sure if I will do a video tomorrow. I might, but I will go ahead and double this up now. So satin's on the inside. Oh, on the outside rather. So method to the madness. So text, or I'm saying text. Let me know if you want me to do, if you wanted to take a class on how to do these. But this is what it looks like. This will be finished soon, and these other two are done. All right, have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining me. Bye.